Alright, so now that we have all these techniques for solving systems of equations, let's go ahead and look at some applications here. Alright, so first, Mrs. Alford invested $5,000. Part of her money went into an account earning 9% simple interest, and the remainder went into an account that earns 8% simple interest for 1 year. She made $415 in interest over the year. How much was initially invested at each interest rate? So, first of all, simple interest. This is something that we're going to talk about some more later in this class. We'll look at compound interest and continuous interest, etc. Simple interest just means that however much she invested into that account, if you take 9% of that, that's how much she earns over the year. You do not earn interest on your interest in a simple interest account. So, our formula for interest then is just our initial investment called the principal, and then we multiply that by the interest rate times time. In this case, time is just 1 because we had 1 year, so we'll just be taking 9% of the initial investment or 8% of the initial investment. Okay. So our goal is to figure out how much was invested at each interest rate. So that means our variables should reflect that. So we have to come up with variables that reflect what we're trying to solve for. So I'm going to call the different accounts account A and account B. Okay, so account A, this is going to be the 9% one. And so I'm going to let my variable A be the amount of money deposited into A. And similarly, account B, this will be the 8%. B is going to be the money that was deposited into account B. Okay. Now, let's see what we know going into the problem. So first of all, we know that she invested $5,000. So how can we relate that back to our variables A and B? Well, that means that our initial investment, A plus B, had to total $5,000. Initially, we invested $5,000, so the total from account A and the total from account B has to sum to $5,000. Let's see. We know that her total interest that was earned from the two accounts is $415. So now we need to come up with a way to describe how the interest was calculated. Well, we know that the interest that came from account A was 9% of the initial deposit into A. So if I want 9% of A, this means I want 0.09 times A. That would give me 9% of A. You can also think of this as 9 out of 100 times A. Plus, and from B, we need an 8% interest. So 0.08 times B. The interest from account A and the interest from account B must sum to the total interest that she earned, which was $415. So, we now have a system of equations right here. A plus B is 5,000, and we have 0.09A plus 0.08B equals 415. Now to solve this, there are several methods that we can use. I think that the most straightforward would be to use substitution. We have variables that have a coefficient of 1. If you look at the first equation, A and B both have a coefficient of 1. So it should be pretty easy to solve for 1 and then use that to solve for the second variable. So I'm going to use substitution here. So let's just sort of separate this. So I'm going to solve for A. So let's see. A is going to equal 5,000 minus B. And then now I can substitute this into the second equation. So we have 0.09 times 5,000 minus B equals 0.08B. Sorry, this is plus 0.08B equals 415. And if we distribute the 0.09 times the 5,000 we end up with 450. So this is 450 minus 0.09b plus 0.08b equals 415. And let's see. So combining like terms, we have 450 minus 0.01b equals 415. If we subtract the 450, we'll end up with negative 35. So negative 0.01b equals negative 35. And so finally, if we divide, we see that b is going to equal 3,500. And this would be dollars, right? Because it's her initial investment. We can finally come back to A and solve. So A is going to equal 5,000 minus 3,500. And so we have that A is equal to $1,500. So our final solution then, the amount in account B was $3,500 and the amount in account A was $1,500. You want to make sure that you put units on your solution if units are necessary. Since we're talking about an amount of an investment, we do want to include units in this case.